All right, we're back. Let's go out to Phoenix, Arizona, where it's 1 billion degrees, and talk to Rebecca. What's up, Rebecca?
Hi. It is not quite 1 billion degrees, but it definitely feels hot.
What do you? It feels hot because it's 1 billion degrees. I heard the other day there was 25 straight days of over 110.
Yeah, it was horrible. Especially we just moved here from Montana,
Oh,
so I am not used to this heat.
why did you? Everyone in the planet is like eyeballing Montana as the sacred holy place to escape to, and you guys are like, nah, we'll move to hell. That sounds fun.
I know. Yep, that's my husband's doing.
I mean, you got to reevaluate this relationship. I'm just playing. I'm playing. Golly, I'm from Texas. I'm a lifelong Texan, and even Texans are like, it's real hot, but then looking over to their left, and they're like, but it ain't Phoenix, man. Gee,
Right?
our cactuses are falling over.
Yeah, it's been a huge adjustment.
Our pets' heads are falling off. All right. So I'll quit talking about the weather. What's up?
Yeah, so I guess I'm just gonna kind of jump right into it. I wrote out my question. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that's great
Just
because
gonna
I
go
talk too
through
much.
this and-
That's perfect.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. So I'm a mother of 4 young kids, 5 and under, and I feel like my patience is spread just too thin to cover my whole family.
Hold on. Let's
I
just
go
stop
out
right
of my
there.
way to try and be patient and kind with my kids as possible because I know at the end of the day they don't mean to frustrate me as much as they do.
Hold on. Rebecca.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
You have 4 kids under 5.
Yes.
You are entitled to all the feelings you would like to have. All of them. There is no feeling you are experiencing right now that makes you crazy.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Rebecca, if you said, I think about murdering 3 out of the 4, I would be like, yeah, that's fair. Like you have 4 kids under 5. That makes your house like a bomb went off inside of it.
Yeah, most days, yes.
And you're left changing the diapers of all the survivors. That's chaos. Okay, so you are frustrated and you feel like you're snapping at people.
Basically, it's just my husband. At the end of the day, I know it's so bad. I've never had problems with other people too. I'm kind of a control freak. I've been that way for, I think, all of my life. I'm sure my mom would attest to that as I'm dressing up my younger brother in dresses and carting him around the house, telling him what to do.
As you should.
Yeah, but I've never had issues. You know, it's not a problem when I was in school. It's never been a problem at jobs. And even with my kids, you know, I really do. I try my best. I understand at the end of the day that teaching them how I want them to behave is going to be a process that takes years. But my husband, it's just, I have no patience, no grace for him. It is 0 to 100. Even if it's just the most minor thing, I snap.
Because you have 4 kids under 5. Is he helping at all?
Yes. Oh, yeah. He's amazing. He's a teacher, so he is gone for most of the day. But when he gets back, and I mean, he does everything that I ask him to do. But it's got to be specific. It's got to be, you know, it cannot be, hey, will you make up some baby food? I have to tell him exactly what needs to be made, how it needs to be made, all that kind of stuff. And even sometimes when I do that, he still will do it different ways. And that's almost where I really lose it, is just that it's not done the way I want it to be done.
Yeah. So what happened when you were a kid, and this can happen, you can have great parents, this still happens, but somewhere along the way, you learned that you had to be in control of every variable. What does that stem from?
Probably the more I've talked to my mom, the more I think that it comes from the fact that I'm the oldest of 3, and my sister is born with one of the rarest conditions of arthritis. She would know everything about it. I just basically know that basically from the time she was an infant, she suffered a lot of pain in her joints, and of course, you know, as an infant, they didn't know what the problem was, and so my mom just did not have time for me and my brother. And she tells me now that without me there, she doesn't think she would have been able to do it because I'm the one who got us up and ready for school. I'm the one who made breakfast. I'm the one who, when we got home from school, was entertaining my brother.
Where was
and
Dad?
letting my mom sleep. And my dad's a graveyard worker. He's a sheriff, so
Okay.
he's sleeping during the day and then at work for 12 hours a night.
Did you say he's a sheriff?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. All right, so here's what you have. And I want to give you some peace on this, okay? There are some pretty compelling anecdotal, Huberman calls it anecdata, with cops' kids, of which I am one.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Yes, it is cool, but also comes with a lot of drama because cops' kids have dads that their entire lives are lived outside the bell curve, meaning nobody gets murdered in the park. Except 100% of your dad's day is dealing with that one time someone did. And over time, it becomes, this could happen, Rebecca. Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca. And you put on top of being a cop's kid who's working the graveyard shift, you've been a mother since you were 4. And if you didn't do everything like your mom said, the house shut down. So the stakes have been so high for so long that if you get one thing wrong, you're out. Right? Your sister goes whatever. Your brother doesn't have food. He doesn't go to school. You've been a parent since you should not have been a parent when you were a kid. You should have been sitting in a mud puddle playing with sticks. And then you fast forward and that same skill set kicks in when you have a chaotic house. And I'm making a joke, but I'm being super serious. 4 kids under 5 is a lot for a human nervous system to handle. It's a lot. And so your body has one switch. It's got those neural maps already mapped out. Here's how we handle this. And then you have an amazing, loving husband who's like, or I can just put raisins in it. And your brain goes, zzz, and it lights him on fire, right?
Yeah.
And so your brain is doing exactly what it's been trained to do. So I want you, to give yourself some grace. Stop going to war with Rebecca because that's not going to solve this, okay?
Okay.
Also, you're going to have to keep on a loop in your mind, my husband is not my dad, my husband is not my mom, over and over and over and over again. Okay? You had no business running your household as a little girl, and yet you did. Okay? And so now what you're going to have to practice is a couple of things. Number one, you are going to have to just flat get over, sister, I don't like telling him all the details. You're going to just have to help tell him all the details. What I would tell you is these conversations are way better had not in the heat of battle. This is like, hey, we've got 4 kids under 5. Our whole life is different. Let's go out. And you hear me say this, I just beat this drum over and over. Let's go out and talk about making breakfast. Let's go out and talk about how we do laundry. Let's go and talk about some of these things. Give him a list of 3 or 4 things of the way you like it done. And so be super, super clean. Because here's what happens. You are not looking for the results, which are clean clothes or mixed baby food. Your body is searching for the action. Am I in control of everything? See what I'm saying? Yeah. And here's the thing. You are not. And your body knows that, but your brain's like, I want to be in control. And then it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where he didn't want to touch nothing because he always does it wrong, and he's just going to work a little bit more, and maybe he's just going to stay a little bit later and grade papers, which leaves you on your own more. You see how this thing just gets sideways real fast, right?
Yeah.
And then you get more control-y because your husband's going away, your kids are a little bit crazier because they miss their dad, and you grab control a little bit tighter, and then the whole thing just, right? Like one of those cactus in the Arizona desert just falling over. Right?
Yep.
So here's how I want you to practice this. Number one, I want you to take them out and distill it down to a few things you can't live with. Here's what I mean by that. My daughter has a peanut allergy. I didn't believe those things were real. And because I was a loudmouth 18 to 25-year-old, the cosmos gave me a kid with a peanut allergy. When she was born, I would take her places. I would go have fun. I was trying to get out of the house, and I love doing things with my 1-year-old, 2-year-old daughter. I would always forget the little bag with the EpiPen in it and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And one day my wife said, hey, if unsuspectingly the wrong thing ends up in a cookie and you forget and hand it to her, she will die. You cannot forget this bag. And I'll tell you, I don't forget that bag. There was some things when it came to how laundry gets done that my wife's like, hey, this is how I like it done. And I would say, after being on the road and working, 100 hours a week at the university, this is how I can get it done. And my wife said, okay, that's cool. And so it became, I don't want to be in control. I just want clean clothes. I'm going to let these things get done in this way. And then there's a couple of clothes like, hey, please don't throw my nice whatever into the underwear and put it on hot, because it doesn't work. That, you know what I mean? So there's some basic things like that. So I want you to be very clear about the few things you can't live without. And then here's number 2. You have to practice letting the rest go. And here's how you do that. I want you to ask yourself, when you start to feel yourself snapping, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen here? And if the worst that can happen is not death or somebody getting hurt, you've got to practice letting it go. Because you got a husband that's shown up, that loves you guys, and is trying his best. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's going to be the hard part, though.
It
I
is.
have such a hard time with that.
It is. But I mean, just think about this. Think about every time when you were a little girl, with the front door open, someone just hit you in the face with a cream pie. Just splat, right? As an adult, you would make sure you would deadbolt that front door because it's your house now. And anytime somebody started opening it, you would just duck it because you've been hit in the face with a pie 1,000 times, 10,000 times. This is the same exact thing. You have to remember what kept me alive then is going to destroy my marriage now. It's not worth it. And it's not real either, by the way. And you know that.
Yeah.
Is that fair? So, go to the other side of this. Do this thought experiment with me. Just imagine how cool it would feel to not be angry with your husband.
A lot less stressful.
Okay. So can I say something crazy? For some reason, you're choosing stress. If you think about...
But why? Why would I do that?
I don't know. I'm asking you. Because that's what your body knows. Your body knows when there's a bunch of kids, we're supposed to feel this way. And what you have to teach your body is, no. That's how it was one time. It's not going to be that way in my house because I get to decide what my house is going to feel like. And I'm going for warmth. And I'm going to go for joy. I'm going to go for more laughter than chaos. There's always going to be chaos, especially with the way you guys did it, which is like, hey, let's just throw all the ingredients in the blender at the same time. That's going to be fine, but the blender is going to get really messy. That's cool, but you get to decide. And so that means that when your husband's taking the laundry down and you see him put the T-shirts in with the underwear, you ask yourself real quick, what's the worst that can happen? Nothing. There is no worst here. The clothes are going to get clean. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Can I ask a question that kind of goes along with that?
Ask anything, yeah.
So, because I think I've been kind of trying to do something like that where I tell him more specifically, but I guess if I ask him to do something specifically and then I still see later on that he's not doing it that specific way, do you think it would be better to still just practice that, like, okay, he didn't listen this time, but nothing bad is going to happen? Or
yes.
Okay, still do that.
But two things. One, you can't, if you've got a baby in one arm and a baby on the other and one wrapped around your leg and he's holding the fourth and you're saying, you got to do it like this. And if you do, you got to make sure this and that. He is in survival mode. He is not in learning and listening mode.
Yeah.
Okay. And you are not in teaching mode. You are in control mode. I am barking orders because this is what my body knows.
Oh, I like that a lot. Teaching compared to control mode.
Yes.
I like that.
So if you want to teach somebody, you get down, like when I want to teach my daughter something, I get down on eye level with her because I am humongous compared to her little body. And when I hover over and say, hey, her body instantly goes to fight or flight. There is no more learning happening there. She'll do what I say because I'm humongous. She will not learn why we're doing what we're doing. So I'll get down and I'll look her in the eye and say, hey, And I'll hold both of her hands if she'll do that. Sometimes she will, sometimes she won't. And I will say, listen, if you put this in that light socket, you will die. Don't do that. And she'll get real wide-eyed, and I'll say, I love you, and my job is to keep you safe. Right? See, I'm teaching her in that moment. Okay? So teaching has to be done offline. It cannot be done with kids screaming and blah, blah, blah. That's why I love like a weekly check-in, husbands and wives. And by the way, it's real important. At your kid's age, my wife and I would walk in the door, and this sounds cruel, and I'm going to get a bunch of mean emails. I don't care. I'd walk past my kids. I'd say, hi guys, and I'd go straight to mom. And mom got my first hug. Mom got my first attention. And then we would always say, I would say hi to the kids, and then I would say, we have to have, we're having adult time. Y'all got to go. And they had to leave the room. And they have learned that even when we say we're having adult talk, they'll just get up and leave because it's just so wired into them that they just know that's a part of our home, that they come second to my marriage. The kids have to come second to your marriage. And in a strange way, they will go in their rooms and they'll play and they'll do silly things. And yes, they'll whine and complain. He hit me, blah, blah. Cool. As soon as we're done with mom and with adult time, then we'll come back. But that's the only way you can hang in there in the chaos you guys have.
Okay.
Tell me what you don't like about that.
I mean, just the days are hard, obviously, sometimes. But no, I think I like it overall. I think as you're saying it, I recognize that we don't really spend a lot of time just talking one-on-one. And we have twins that are 8 months old.
Oh, geez.
So those are the ones that really take up the most time.
Right.
But I'm thinking like even our quality time that we spend together is at the end of the day, we both feed a baby together. And then once the babies get in bed, he's got to go to bed because he wakes up early in the mornings to get ready. And he's such a nice guy. He lets me sleep in a little bit in the mornings too. So he wakes up early with the babies. But I mean, that's our quality time, and it's not even truly alone. We're feeding babies together.
But also, could I say this?
Mm-hmm.
You've been pregnant for 6 years. And a baby, an 8-month-old baby is, I love this. It doesn't make mathematical sense, but it's the 4th trimester, right? If you look at evolutionary psychology, we traded humongous brains for 9 to 12 more months of gestation, like of a baby having to be attached to his mom. So I want you to hear me say this. This does get better. There is a season, and you're in it, where y'all ride this one out, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're feeding a baby, sometimes just watching a show. My wife and I watched Bones, that show with, I forget. I don't remember. I don't remember all the actors. We watched that. We still laugh about it. Like, man, what my poor son, what he learned by osmosis because we watched that show. But there was some of that was important. But then there was also seasons when my wife was feeding my son and the TV was just off and we just talked to each other. That was all we could do. That was it. That's all we could have in that season. Otherwise, it was going to get chaotic. And so 8 months will, in a snap of your fingers, turn into 12 months. And then when you're 12 months, you're going to have a 5-year-old, and a 5-year-old can be in the shower by themselves. A 4-year-old can too, or in the bathtub. And a 5-year-old, they're not going to wipe properly, but they can go to the bathroom on their own. And there's going to slowly be a tiny little pinhole light at the end of this tunnel. And the 1-year-olds will turn into 18 months old. And then you'll get a little bit of a gap. And the gap will get a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. So right now, I don't want you to do anything drastic. I want y'all to hold on. And I want y'all to come up with, all right, what do we need to hold on in this season? What do we need to hold on right now? We got twins that are 8 months old, and we have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. God help you all. That's a lot of humans. A little dependent humans. It may be we need to get some help. And I know he's a teacher, and y'all got a family of 6. And so there's not a lot of extra income. Maybe a friend comes over in the afternoon. My son did some things when he was younger, when he was about 12 or 11. He would go over and play with little kids while mom, like a neighbor's mom, did some stuff. And it was kind of like a stay-at-home babysitter-ish kind of thing. My son loved it. The kids loved it. And the mom loved it. And because he was young, she got to pay him a lot less, just a couple of bucks. But figure out ways. What do we need here? What do we need? What do we need? And it's really hard to do that when you have babies all attached to you. So I would recommend you guys get away for a half day if possible. That may sound insane. And have somebody come over or two people come over, but y'all plan, okay, everything in our life is different. We have to prioritize us first. And we have to get these babies fed. What's that look like for us? What's that look like? And you, my friend, have to understand there's a light at the end of this tunnel. And how are we going to continue to prioritize? What are the 3 or 4 things I got to be clear on? I'm going to die on this hill. And then, yes, if you say, I need the laundry done, the bed made like this, and your husband does it 85% right, let it ride. Let it ride. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen here? You guys have got this. Hang on the line. I'm going to send you a copy of Building a Non-Anxious Life, my new book. I want you guys to use this as a roadmap for your family. And y'all can create a world inside of this chaotic ecosystem y'all have. How do we create a non-anxious world? How do we create this?